All right, before I'm allowed to turn in for the night, I have to do the preview for the Sunday games. There's only one confirmed goaltender, as all the teams went to bed tonight. And I just want to say, in response to the power rankings, you're right. Your team should be much higher in the power rankings. I had that other team far too high. The other team that's far too high, I must have seen things wrong. I have adjusted the power rankings since the video to make sure that your team is properly represented. They've moved up 3 spots since the video. Okay, 6 spots. You got it. All right. Now that that's out of the way, let's start things off with Boston and Detroit. You want the ultimate trap game? Is that what you want? Because that's what this ultimately could be. It's 1 versus 31, as in Boston's number 1 in the NHL. It makes me somewhat nervous because I'll find it. See, normally I'd pause, but it's too late. It's a trap, and this likely isn't going to work because Detroit's not going to beat Boston, and yet, even though they're 50 points apart, Detroit is 50 points behind Boston. I do worry that Boston's had a little bit too much fun lately. It would be very easy to overlook the Detroit Red Wings. This starts at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 9:30 a.m. Pacific. It's an early start. Detroit can get off to a quick start in this one, and who knows? The overall records, Boston's 34-10-12. The 12 still kind of bothers me, but at least they haven't had an overtime loss in a while. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. They've won 6 in a row. They're 15-8-3 on the road. Detroit's 13-39-4. Miserable year. They're 1-8-1 in their last 10. At home, they're 8-18-2. Youch. November 8th, Detroit did beat Boston in Detroit 4-2. So I have reason to be concerned about this game. Their next meeting will be on the 15th of February at Boston, and then they have their 4th and final meeting in Boston as well. So Boston plays Detroit 3 times down the stretch. So it is possible they'll finish first in the NHL as long as they can beat Detroit 3 times. So that sounds doable, but they lost November 8th against them, so we'll see. I went with leading scorer and then 4 other notables for every team on the board. Pastrnak, 38 goals, 39 assists, 77 points. You know, the likelihood of him reaching 50 goals, it's still there, but I'm not sure now. I'm really not sure that Pasternak's going to get there. Bergeron, 23 goals, 23 assists. He's been fantastic, 46 points. Charlie Coyle started finding the back of the net. He has 12 goals, 19 assists, 31 points. McAvoy finally has his first goal. 1 goal, 20 assists, 21 points. Bjork, 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points. I want to see 10 goals and 10 assists for him soon. Goaltenders, Rask is now 24-6 with a .930 save percentage. He's been fantastic. Halak, 14-6-6, .921 save percentage. He's been better. He had a rough patch there, but he's been better lately. On the Detroit side, Larkin is still their leading scorer with 15 goals, 24 assists, 39 points. And it has not been a fantastic season for him. Really hasn't, but it hasn't been a fantastic season for pretty much anybody in Detroit. You could argue Tyler Bertuzzi, but I could point out Tyler Bertuzzi's had his cold streaks in there as well. Hronek, 9 goals, 18 assists, 27 points on the blue line. With injuries that have been taking place recently, we'll see if Hirose steps forward. He's played 25 games, has 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points. Giovanni Smith may be given that opportunity as well. 20 games, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points for him. I do think there's some offense there with him as well. And Lindstrom, the new defenseman they've got who played more than 20 minutes in their last game. 2 games for him so far, no points. But Lindstrom very well could do it. Or I wouldn't. I would leave him alone. So Lindstrom, we'll see what happens. And the fun thing is watching the Detroit feed of their games and seeing how many times they call him Lindstrom. And pointing out that when Nick Lidstrom joined the NHL, he was being called Lindstrom a lot. So now they got to put the N back in there. Goaltenders, I expect Bernier. Bernier's 11-14-2 with a .908 save percentage. You know, considering how few wins they have, that's not a bad winning percentage. Howard, 21-2 with an .889 save percentage. Oof. That's brutal. It really, really is. All right, moving along. Anaheim in against the Buffalo Sabres. This one starts at 3 o'clock Eastern, which is noon Pacific. So look for a video where I talk about these 2 games. I'll review the matinee games, and then we just have the 3 games for the evening. So it makes things a little bit easier for me. And then for fans of these 2 games, you don't have to wait forever for the review. That being said, for Anaheim, they're 22, 26, and 7. I had thought about wearing an Anaheim jersey for this video, and I thought, well, I don't want to do that. Buffalo needs to go on a bit of a run, but I didn't want to wear Buffalo either because, I feel a kinship with Anaheim now that I've been down there. So that does change things. And I'm going to say this straight out. I asked Anaheim not to do this. My hatred for Anaheim was complete. And now I've been to Anaheim. I've met Anaheim fans. They seem like really decent people. And it's I'm not allowed to hate things. And now there's fans in Montreal going, why don't you come to Montreal? No, I can't. Anaheim 22, 26, and 7 overall over their last 10. They're 5, 3, and 2. So they've been playing better. On the road, they're 10, 16, and 4. That's not better. Buffalo, they're 24, 23, and 8 overall. Over their last 10, they're 5, 4, and 1. They just aren't winning at a rate like Montreal, for instance. They're not really getting themselves back into the picture. At home, they're 15, 9, and 4. They need to get something going. Because honestly, at the end of this season, if things keep trending the way they have been, I don't know how many players are going to stick around. I don't know how many are going to go. I don't know how many heads are going to roll, but it could be really ugly. October 16th, Anaheim beat Buffalo 5-2 in Anaheim. This is the second and final meeting of the season between these teams. Leading scorer and notables for each team. Getzlaf, still the leading scorer for the Anaheim Ducks. 11 goals, 25 assists, 36 points, which underscores just how little scoring they've had. Henrique, 18 goals, 11 assists, 29 points for him. Grant has been fantastic for the most part. 13 goals, 5 assists, 18 points. Hard-working forward there. Terry, who had a goal in their last game, 4 goals, 7 assists, 10 points. And Jones, now with 7 goals, 3 assists, 10 points. If he can get to double digits in goals for this year, that's a good starting point. Gibson, 16, 21, and 4 with a .904 save percentage. Honestly, I would play Miller because he's a Buffalo guy, right? 6, 5, and 3 record, .908 save percentage, and spent most of his career tending goal for the Buffalo Sabres. So it would be nice to see him play against Buffalo in Buffalo. Eichel, 31 goals, 37 assists, 68 points for him. Oh, and also, this may be Miller's last year, so this might be the last game he ever plays in Buffalo. So Eichel, 31 goals, 37 assists, 68 points for him to lead the team. Ristolainen, 5 goals, 20 assists, 25 points. Frustrated Ristolainen, right? VC, 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points. Still looking for more for VC. Yoki Haru, 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points. And Colin Miller, who has been curious in how he's been used or not used for Buffalo this year. 1 goal, 8 assists, 9 points for him. I would expect Hutton tomorrow. Until Olmark's healthy, I would expect Hutton to play the lion's share of games. Olmark 16, 14, and 3 with a .914 save percentage. Hutton's 8, 9, and 4. And here's the kick. He has an .894 save percentage. That will never happen again. So go ahead and take a screenshot of that because that'll never happen again. A guy with an 8, 9, and 4 record and an .894 save percentage. That has to be in NHL's the only time that's happened kind of thing. Johansson, 1 overtime loss and an .886 save percentage for him. And we'll see how much we see him before Olmark comes back for Buffalo. Either way, should be a fun little game. All right, moving along. LA Kings in against the New York Rangers. This one starts at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. The LA Kings, after the loss tonight, where they got shut out, 19, 32, and 5. Over their last 10, they're 1, 8, and 1. Oh boy, and on the road, they're 8, 20, and 4. They're having almost the same season as Detroit. Not quite as bad, but it's getting there. On the New York Rangers side, frustratingly couldn't get to 5 games above 500. Now they're back down to 3 at 26, 23, and 4. Over their last 10, they're 5 and 5. They cannot get to that next step. And it's kind of frustrating to watch because they're an exciting young team. They're a fun team to watch. They just can't get enough victories to get back into this race. They're 15, 12, and 2 at home. These teams met in LA on December 10th, and LA won that one 3-1. I remember that game because that was when LA was actually playing pretty well at home, just couldn't win on the road. And that's still been the story for the entire season, and it's really sunk their hopes. Now, leading scorer again, 4 notables. Kopitar, 17 goals, 30 assists, 47 points to lead the Kings. Toffoli, 14 goals, 16 assists, 30 points, as he's got decent trade value. Kempe, 10 goals, 13 assists for 23 points. Amadio, I like Amadio, 6 goals, 10 assists, 16 points. Ben Hutton's up to 10 points now with 3 goals and 7 assists. Quick, 11, 21, and 3 with an .894 save percentage. I expect him tomorrow. Peterson should be backing him up. He's 0-1 now with a .912 save percentage. It's a small sample size, but it's a better save percentage than Quick. So we'll see how the Peterson-Quick thing works now that Campbell's moved on. On the Rangers side, Panarin, 27 goals, 45 assists, 72 points. I would expect him to end up around 100 by the end of the year, and New York loves him, and I get it. D'Angelo, 12 goals, 29 assists, 41 points. Jacob Trouba, 7 goals, 16 assists, 23 points. Fast, 8 goals, 14 assists, 22 points. And Capo Caco, always going to be a talking point for New York Rangers fans coming out of this season. 7 goals, 11 assists. Did they hurt his development by playing him this year? I don't think so, but that will be a debate this summer. Look forward to the video on that. Probably something where we go over the rookie class and who is going to break through next year and who probably is whatever they are right now, and they're not going to get better, that kind of thing. Georgiev's 12-11-1 with a 908 save percentage. Lundqvist is 10-11-3 with a 907 save percentage. Shesterkin's 4-1 with a 922 save percentage. Honestly, I would throw Shesterkin in net, but I think they just roll the dice. 1-3 is one goaltender, 2-4 is the other, and 5-6 is the third. I think that's what they do. There is some kind of a rotation going on here, and we'll see whether this rotation goes beyond the break or beyond the trade deadline, or if it stops there. But that being said, this should be an interesting little game because, again, the New York Rangers with the three-headed monster in net, that's going to be the talking point coming out of any game of theirs. All right, moving along. Chicago is in against the Winnipeg Jets. This one starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. So these games are nicely spread out tomorrow. So while I will be spending my day watching hockey, it won't be as exhausting as Saturday nights tend to be when there's 7 games on at once to start. Yeah, okay. The Chicago Blackhawks have been excellent. 25-21-8. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10. They've got to get back on a run, though. And they're 13-9-4 on the road. Winnipeg, 28-23-5 overall. Over their last 10, they're 4-5-1. But don't let that fool you. They have started to turn things around. They're back in a playoff spot, and now they're 13-12-3 at home. All they've got to do is have this homestand be to their benefit. What really sunk their season was that long homestand they had, where they won, 2 out of 7? Something ridiculous like that, or 2 out of 8 or something. And just, it has sunk their season to this point. So they need a good homestand. These teams know each other well. October 12th in Chicago, Winnipeg wins in overtime 3-2. December 19th in Winnipeg, and I think this was during that homestand, Chicago won 4-1. January 19th in Chicago, Chicago wins 5-2. So they've won 2 out of 3, and the one loss they have is in overtime. So Winnipeg needs to win this one. They meet for a 5th and final time, February 16th. That one's in Winnipeg as well. So Chicago can really damage Winnipeg's chances of making the playoffs if they win this one and then the next one on February 16th, and help themselves at the same time. Leading scorers and notables. Patrick Kane, 25 goals, 41 assists, 66 points for Chicago. All right, caught my mistake there. And there are people probably like, hey, he missed something. No, I caught it. So Patrick Kane, 25 goals, 41 assists, 66 points, is your leader for the Chicago Blackhawks. DeBrincat, 13 goals, 23 assists, 36 points. Come on, DeBrincat, I believe in you. He's not going to get the 50. I had thought he'd get 50 goals. After last season with 41, I thought for sure he'd be a 50-goal scorer. As soon as this year, it's not going to happen. I'd like to see 20. Can I get 20? Saad, 15 goals, 9 assists for him. Kirby Dach, 7 goals and 10 assists. And Connor Murphy, 4 goals, 11 assists on the blue line. He's been solid for Chicago this year. Not really talked about. I figured throw him on the board. Goaltenders, I kind of expect Leonard. He's 15-8-5 with a 923 save percentage, but Crawford's been solid lately too. 10-13-3 with a 912 save percentage. And I keep hearing, well, Chicago's got to move one and trade one. They don't, though, not if they're in the playoff race. It's almost as if some of these pundits forget, as long as these teams are in a playoff race, they don't need to sell anybody. They probably can, but they don't need to. The concept of, well, you can't afford to lose these guys for nothing. If you have a chance to make the playoffs, sometimes it's worth rolling the dice and go for it. Okay, Winnipeg. Scheifele still leads the team in scoring, although he's been cold lately. 23 goals, 34 assists, 57 points. Laine's picked up the slack for the Winnipeg Jets. 23 goals, 28 assists, 51 points for him. Pionk's been fantastic. 6 goals, 30 assists, 36 points. Roslovic, 11 goals, 12 assists, 23 points. And Appleton, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points. I think there's more offense there for Appleton. I do, and I think we're going to see it soon. Goaltenders, it's got to be Hellebuck. Brossois played today, so Hellebuck plays tomorrow. 23-16-5 with a 920 save percentage. Brossois is now 5-7 with an 888 save percentage. Backup's been a problem for them. Maybe not anymore. Maybe Brossois can get things going, or maybe they just ride Hellebuck right into the ground for the rest of the season. That being said, I do need to change boards for the last game of the day. Alrighty, so the last game of the day is Colorado in against Minnesota. The Avalanche, really, these guys are for real. And so if Minnesota takes this game lately at all, and it starts at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, Colorado's going to hand them their lunch. So 31-16-6 is the record for the Colorado Avalanche. In their last 10, they're 6-2-2. They're playing very well right now. On the road, they're 17-9-2. Their road record's excellent. Something they had going for them last year as well. So Minnesota's 26-22-6, but here's the thing. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They've been pretty darn good. And they're a fan base that I expect to be probably ticked off at me for my power rankings, which I understand. I do. I totally get it. And that's why every week when I look at the power rankings, I'm like, oh, seriously. But then I go over it and I go, yeah, that's where I have them. 16-7-4 is the home record for Minnesota. I'm wearing Minnesota because I think Colorado's in the second half of back-to-back. Minnesota being in the race is something we didn't expect. And I think it's good for hockey to have this kind of parity, even as much as it's going to kill the trade deadline. October 5th, Colorado won at home, 4-2. November 21st, Minnesota won at home 3-2. Then December 27th, they went to Colorado and won 6-4. So they've won 2 out of 3 against Colorado. They're trying to make it 3 out of 4. And then March 23rd, they'll have their 5th and final meeting in Minnesota. So it's very important to Minnesota to get as many points away from Colorado as possible to bring them a little bit closer. And when you look at the overall standings, Minnesota sits 3 points out behind the Winnipeg Jets. They win tomorrow. They can be as close as 1 point out of the playoffs. And Colorado sits 10 points ahead of them. They can drag them down to 8. If Colorado wins, they can get 12 points clear of Minnesota. So it's an interesting little rivalry we see here. Leading scorer and 4 notables. McKinnon, 31 goals, 44 assists, 75 points. There's nothing to be said about Nathan McKinnon other than the guy's fantastic. Burakovsky, 17 goals, 23 assists, 40 points. He's lived up to his advanced billing and then some in his time there. Kadri, 19 goals, 16 assists, 35 points. I predicted before the season that he'd hit 30 goals. I don't know that he'll hit 30, but he should be a good bet for 25, which is pretty darn solid. Calvert, 12 goals, 12 assists for 24 points. And Nichushkin, yes, I will give Nichushkin his due. 10 goals, 12 assists, 22 points. He's been really solid for Colorado. Grubauer played tonight. He's 17-11-4 now with a 912 save percentage. So they'll probably play Francouz tomorrow. He's 12-4-2 with a 924 save percentage. They're playing against a team below the playoff line. Francouz should play tomorrow. On the Minnesota side, Stahl's their leading scorer with 17 goals, 22 assists, 39 points. Kevin Fiala, can we give some love to Paul Fenton for getting that one right? Granlund hasn't been fantastic in Nashville. Fiala's been pretty darn good at both ends of the ice lately. 12 goals, 21 assists, 33 points. Cunnin, 12 goals, 14 assists, 26 points. Speaking of good at both ends of the ice, Eriksson Ek, though the numbers don't show it at 6 goals, 17 assists, he has had a very good year. And I think the offensive upside next year will really hit that next mark. Donato, 10 goals, 7 assists, 17 points. He's been pretty good as well. Stalock, 13-8-3 with a 905 save percentage. I would expect him tomorrow. Dubnyk's 10-13-2 with an 892 save percentage, but he played very well against Vancouver. So it's possible we see Dubnyk tomorrow. It's possible. Not likely. I would think to go with Stalock, but we'll see. So there you go. You guys are all ready for tomorrow's games. I'm now ready to go and sleep for the next couple hours and then get back up and get ready for more hockey, because that's kind of where things are at. But again, 8 weeks from tonight, the season's over, and in between now and 8 weeks from tonight, it is a sprint to the finish. A sprint and a marathon at the same time, because it's 56 nights. But considering how many games these teams have left, do the math, some teams are going to be pretty darn busy. Let me know your picks, predictions, and all that in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And at the end of every week, I'm very thankful to you guys for supporting the channel and for helping it grow. The channel's past 132,400. So, it's a pretty impressive number. It's an intimidating number, to be honest, and it's one that I don't take as an actual number. For me, it's just a number. I don't think about that many people actually watching my videos, because then it could get intimidating and then I might freeze on camera. So, that's the kind of thing I don't like to think about. I still, to this day, approach every single video as if I'm just talking to the camera, talking to a friend, talking to 2 or 3 people, the same way that it actually was when the channel started out. And the day that I change my approach or anything goes to my head, it'll all fall apart. So here's to hoping that never happens. Thanks again for all your support. As always, I will talk to you again tomorrow.